Well, welcome everybody to the table. I am your host, Sion Edgerton. We are so excited to have you here. This is our kind of teaser introductory podcast episode, and we really just wanted to give you an idea of who we are, what we do, what the vision really is behind the table. And I actually asked the entire table team to be here with me tonight, and so you'll have a chance to hear from them, hear what leadership looks like for them, what the table means to them. But most of all, I just want to say thank you for pulling up a seat. I am not only the podcast host, but also the founder of the Table organization as a whole. My name, like I said, is Sion Edgerton. I am a pastor, an ordained pastor. I am a writer. I am a homeschooling mother of 3 babies. And more than anything, I am an equiper of leaders. I have a huge heart for leadership. And that's really what the table was birthed out of. I spent a number of years leading on a church staff, and that particular organization just happened to be really heavy on leadership. They were affirming of my voice and my leadership. As a woman, that was especially encouraging for me. And they were just very leadership oriented. And there was so much personal development and leadership growth that happened in my season there. And it was such a privileged place for me to be. And kind of, in my mind, I had this idea that this is how it is. People are invested in, and they're developed, and they're strengthened, and they're given leadership opportunities. And wow, isn't this great? But then the more that I began networking outside of my organization, and the more leaders that I met, and the more other organizations and churches that I got to be part of and partner with, I realized that that's not actually the case. That there are lots of leaders who are really struggling in their leadership because they haven't had the investment or the mentorship or the coaching that they really need to thrive in the things that God has called them to. And I saw so many voices, so many leaders whose voices had been silenced and marginalized for a variety of reasons. And so the thing that I really became passionate about was saying, you know what, every leader has a voice and every leader has value, and everybody deserves to pull up a seat at the table and to have a voice and to be invested in and to really be affirmed in their leadership, regardless of your ethnicity, your gender, your age, your sexual orientation, your socioeconomic status. That when you are influencing other people, you deserve to be poured into, and your leadership matters, and your voice and your story matters. And so the table was really birthed out of that conviction and that passion. And I said, you know what? I want to be able to give what was given to me back to the broader global community of leaders who say, you know what? I would love for someone to come alongside me and see me and hear me and acknowledge me and invest in me and walk with me on this journey. And that's really what the table is. It's a collaboration. Everybody that comes is a leader. Everybody that comes has a voice and has something to contribute to the table. And we really believe that we're all in this together. We're journeying together. We each have strengths that we can bring to build one another up. And so a few things that we're going to be doing, we do have a community that we engage with weekly via email. You can go to our website, thetableleadership.com, to subscribe to that. We'll have the podcast that formally launches in January, which we're super excited about. We are going to start offering in 2020, we're going to start offering online courses. So we'll have extended courses. It could be anywhere from 8 to 10 weeks on a particular topic. And then we're also going to offer intensives, because we know that a lot of you're leading in places where it's just real and you've got a lot going on. And sometimes you need an intensive. You need to say, all right, I can set aside one afternoon, 3 hours, and I'm just going to cram in as much information as I possibly can. And so we'll have intensives along with extended courses. And we're going to have coaching too. For those of you that say, you know what, I would really like to have a little more individualized attention and growth with my leadership and my current situation, then great. We would love to have you engage with our coaching. But what we really wanted to do today was just introduce ourselves, introduce the team to you, let you know a little bit about our heart and who we are, and just invite you to not only pull up a seat, but to bring others along with you. We believe that the table is big. I got a t-shirt for my birthday from my sister, and I love it. It says, when you have more than you need, build a longer table, not a higher fence. And that's exactly what we want to do. We want to keep building a longer and longer and longer table and make sure that everybody who needs a seat has one and has a voice. So I want to start by having the team introduce themselves. We're going to start with Zarshay. And so, Zarshay, just tell us a little bit about you so that everybody can get to know you. Even if they won't necessarily hear from all these voices on a regular basis, we still want them to know what everybody's doing.
Yes, so my name is Zarshay Price. I'm from Newport News, Virginia. I love Newport News. This is my city. I am a student. I work full-time. I'm married. I juggle all of that and still are pursuing the different dreams and goals that what God has put inside of me. Little fun fact, I love natural hair care. I love natural beauty. So 100% on that. That's just my heart.
That's awesome. And don't you make a lot of your own products
too?
Yes,
I make shampoos, oils, and that's something in the future for me with teaching about natural beauty and DIY and knowing what's in your ingredients and making all people just feel comfortable in who God has created them to be. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's for the future.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it. And so tell us what you do at the table. What is the role that people will see you leading in?
Yes, so I am social media, which is really exciting because with this role, I get the opportunity to touch people from all different walks of life throughout the world and just share what God has put inside of the table leadership and just to connect. So I'm excited about being able to spread the word and hit up with everyone on social media. So that's my goal and my plan.
Yeah, that's awesome. So anybody that engages with us on LinkedIn or Pinterest or Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, you can find us all over at The Table Leadership. Zarshay is the one that you are hearing from and seeing posts from and communicating with. So, and she's fantastic. And so aside from what you're doing on the table, what does leadership really mean to you? What does leadership look like for you in this season of life?
You know, it's really interesting because something that's really cool about the table is we are really putting focus onto leadership and why it's important and how it's in all of us. You know, we have subjects and courses such as furthering our education or marriage or career goals. We have all of that, which is extremely important. However, leadership is kind of just that back burner that we don't really talk about or really focus on, especially with individuals who don't really have that opportunity to focus in on what God has called them to be as a leader. You know, minorities, women, all types of people that don't have that opportunity. So we get the opportunity to just focus on that and how we are all leaders, even in small roles, huge roles, medium-sized roles. Just leadership for me is being able to use what God has put inside of me and affect other people and to be able to build a table of leaders and to affect communities all around.
Yeah, that's good. And what made you want to be part of the team? I mean, when we say the table, what we're doing here, what does that really mean for you personally?
Yeah, I know just for me, you know, just the phrase of pulling up a seat and having a seat at the table, you know, being a part of these decisions that affect our lives, that affect our communities, you know, being able to be there and say, hey, this affects me, this affects my people, this affects the people that I see that doesn't have a voice. This is the opportunity that we get to have to establish and to promote leadership to people who don't have that opportunity. So if I get to do that, or if I get to be a part of that, I'm 100% ready.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Zarshay, I am super, super excited. And I mean, we've known each other for a number of years, and I've got to see you grow as a person and as a leader. I mean, gosh, you were really young when we first met, and then I got to officiate your wedding. And so it's just so cool to just get to see what God is doing in your life, and now to have you alongside on this journey. Man, I could not be more proud of you or more excited to have you on the team. And I know that everybody in our community is really just going to be blessed by the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much. And I'm just so blessed that all of the little nuggets and intentionalities that God has put between us and the table and the team is coming to fruition. And I'm so excited.
Yeah, awesome. Me too. Well, thank you for sharing your heart with us. And next, I want us to hear from Melanie good friend of mine who I have known and worked with for a number of years. We were part of the same leadership development cohort program a couple years back. So you were my travel buddy and my roommate a number of times, my hotel buddy. I still can't travel and do anything leadership oriented and stay in a hotel without missing you a little bit.
Thanks.
So tell us, now that I've, shared all the good personal stuff. Tell us about who you are, Melanie.
Yeah, my name is Melanie Lassiter. I was born and raised in Newport News. I actually live in Yorktown, Virginia currently. But like Czar, I love Newport News, love the city of Newport News. I live in a house with my husband and my 2-year-old boy and 2 dogs. So happy house. And I just have been working a lot with leadership and discipleship and focusing on those things. I work for a network of churches in this area. And that is actually my focus is currently on leadership and discipleship with those churches. So.
That's awesome. And so I think you kind of just answered part of what my next question was going to be, but what does leadership really look like for you in this season? Where are the spaces where you're leading out and using your voice?
Yeah, it's interesting because currently I'm in this interesting season where I've seen God working in this way of seeing that leadership is something in which it's almost been in our culture, something we try to obtain, but really it's something that's already within us. It's just igniting that flame that already exists and finding out how we're equipped and what we have within ourselves, how we have been fearfully and wonderfully made, and how we can just be able to utilize what it is that we each have. And so I think there's this misconception about leadership being just certain people, and it's something you strive for, and it's a position versus a posture. And I'm just seeing that more and more where people are craving this. And as you've mentioned, and as the table is about, not everyone is able to feel that they have access or space to that. And so, just doing that primarily, looking at it within the network of churches that I work with currently, and just people who are leading and making sure that they're also pouring into others so that others understand that it's not just these leaders, these pastors, those people who are leaders, but that themselves are leaders as well.
Yeah,
So.
I love what you said about it's not a position, it's a posture. That's really what leadership is. That's great. And I think that's one of the things that we really want to do at the table is take leadership from kind of being this selective, elitist thing and say, no, every single one of us is called to lead in some way, one way or another, whether that's within our homes or within our churches or within our workplace, our organization, wherever we may be, that, your mission field is between your own 2 feet. And so wherever you're planted, that's where our leadership is. And if we're not acknowledging that and recognizing ourselves as leaders, we're not actually going to steward our responsibility to lead. It's like if I say, oh, well, I'm not a writer, then I'm not going to be writing. If I think, oh, I'm not a leader, well, then I'm not going to be leading. Yet each one of us carries a responsibility to that, to steward the influence that we have. And so recognizing that that's for all of us, that's huge. So I love what you said there. Tell us a little bit about what you do at the table, which I know right now is still kind of a mixture of a lot of different things, but what are you doing behind the scenes at the table, and why? What does the table really mean to you?
Yeah, so I think my main role is going to maybe come a little bit later when we start talking, as you mentioned before, the idea of having some of these intensives or the different types of trainings that we'll have. So kind of developing those, what will those look like? How can we structure those? How will the people who will be a part of these get the best that they can from the intensives and the different trainings that they'll be a part of? So right now, a lot of prayer just into that, and hoping that through the podcasts that are launching and then the development of that we're staying focused on the vision of what the table is about. So yeah, the table for me, I mean, being a part of it, it just makes sense to me. I love the image of the table. It goes again with the idea of a posture instead of a position, because the table is the focus, and it doesn't matter where your chair is, you're still at the same table. And so this idea to just allow everyone to be a part of it, that there's not there's no disqualifiers. There's nothing that says you're not invited, but instead we're just extending a table so that people can just, I just think this is going to be movemental. I think that this is going to be movemental in a way that is just releasing people's voices. It's releasing people's capacity to a way in which I think we can do so much for the kingdom and just for just where we are in the world in general. And I feel very blessed to be a part of it.
It's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I'm super excited to have you on the team. One of my best friends, and I just love that we get to be on this journey together. So thank you. Angel, let's hear from you next. Introduce yourself and tell us who you are.
I am Angel Ackerman. I live in Hampton, Virginia. I've been married to my husband, Tommy, for 31 years. We lead a ministry in our church together. I am in a pastoral apprenticeship program with the church. I'm a mother of 4, grandmother of 7, and I guess you'd say a whole because there's 2 halves. So 9 soon. So I love to be busy, if you can't tell. That's me.
Awesome. And we've known each other for a number of years now. Freedom Life is the church that I had the privilege of leading at for a number of years. And so Angel and I have been friends and served together and volunteered together and worked together and led together for a long time. And really excited to have her on the team. Angel, tell us what it is that you're doing for the table.
So my title would be content manager. And I'm super excited about what I get to do because I get to hear the podcasts before anyone else. And I am already so blessed by them. I get to really just take in all of the information and pull out the nuggets, the things that stick, and just basically put together a summary and pull together the resources that are available in that, and just put out a little blurb, if you will, of information so that you know what that podcast is about. So, and it's so exciting already.
So you've got a sneak peek already of some of the podcasts. Why don't you, since you have had the opportunity that no one else has had yet to actually hear some of the podcasts and listen to some of these guests that I've already been recording, just give people a little snippet, a little sneak peek of why do they want to listen to the Table podcast?
I mean, the things that are talked about already so far are just investing into the next generation of leaders and what that looks like, serving alongside leaders and what that looks like, bringing who you are to the table, you know, and what your personality, what your leadership, what your input does that no one else's can. You get to be an individual leading that way, teaching other people to lead that way, coming alongside them and leaving them a better leader than you even are, and what that's all about. It's so tempting to not just
just share everything.
Yeah, it's just, you know, it's just all about coming alongside people and pulling out their strengths. And sometimes there'll be strengths they didn't even realize they had. And it's just, I'm just so excited.
That's awesome. Well, I'm so excited to have you on the team and to have you sharing your gifts. And thanks for giving us a little preview, a little sneak peek. Hopefully, everybody can hear the excitement in your voice, and will subscribe and continue to listen to the Table Leadership Podcast that will officially be launching with our first guest January 1st. So you want to make sure that you sign back in for that then. Let's go to Ashley now. Ashley Wilson, tell us who you are.
So I'm Ashley Wilson. I was born and raised in Philadelphia.
Woo!
I am currently residing in Newport News, Virginia. And I'm a mother of three girls and a wife to an awesome husband of 10 years. And I also homeschool my 3 baby girls.
And so I think you kind of just answered part of my next question, obviously. But what does leadership look like for you in this season?
I think for me, like John C. Maxwell said it, that leadership is influence.
Yeah.
And I really just think about like leadership being a way to influence and produce growth and just have this mindset of we could do it better together, or we can like grow together, learning from one another, not like a competition type thing, but like, that we're all here like pulling and raising up one another to get us to really discover what is already in us and like, put it back out into the world and have that influence on people that need it most for them to ultimately believe that they can do what they believe they can do.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you and James are really amazing at doing that. I mean, he's, leading in the church and you're right alongside him there. And then I know you two you pour into a lot of young couples. I know you guys have a real heart for marriage, and you lead not only in your home, but you lead students and young adults, and you lead young married couples. And I think about some of the most important critical phases in our lives, our growing years, childhood and young adulthood, and the early years of marriage. And you guys have a voice of leadership into people's lives in each of those phases and stages. And that's so, so important and so critical. I love the work that you guys do. Tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing at the table.
Okay, so my official title is a podcast executive producer, and it sounds really spiffy, but ultimately I'm the delivery woman. Like, so I'm going to be responsible to getting all those, powerful messages, get the wheels going, have you bursting at the seams, fun, enriching podcasts to everybody. So after Angel goes through it and creates a nice, show note for it, then I will be the one pushing it out so that it's accessible to everybody.
Awesome. You get to do all of the fun, hard, detail-oriented work to make sure that everybody has something to listen to every week. And we are so, so, so grateful for the role that you play. Tell me a little bit about why the table? What does it mean to you? What does it mean to you to be part of it? When you hear the table, just what does that mean for you personally?
For me, I think of the table as like, for me personally, like just belief, like even just for my own personal self, like belief that I too am a leader and can lead. And just the idea and the whole concept, and we some of us has touched on it, like just having that seat at the table, feeling like my voice is important, what I have to say is enough, and just kind of, I want to be a part of the table, or I've chosen to be a part of the table because I really believe that there are so many leaders sitting out there, sitting on so many gifts and talents, and just, they have so much to say, but no one's ever told them that they can say it and that it would matter. So I think just that whole idea of like the self-fulfilling prophecy, like you are what you believe you are, it ultimately is just suggesting that your beliefs will influence your actions. Having a seat at this table and knowing that we're going to be pushing people to go past, their doubts or their fears, and to actually build this firm belief system that they they can lead and they are already leaders, I think is, powerful and definitely motivational and encouraging, and something I wish I had eons ago.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm really excited to have you on board. So thank you for sharing a little bit of your heart and your life with us and your time. Obviously, I know everybody's going to be putting a lot of time into making the table happen. And so last but not least, of course, Alyssa, welcome to the table. So glad that you are part of the team. You were actually technically the first official person that was like, yeah, I'll be part of this crazy idea that you have. So I'll do the thing. So tell us, before you tell us what the thing is, tell us a little bit about who you are.
Well, my name is Alyssa Coburn, and I am a mother of 7.
Can we just pause for a minute? What you just said, a homeschooling mother of 7.
Well, one of them is grown, and I'm a grandmommy now too, to one little beautiful baby girl. And then the others that are actually in the house range from 16 to 2 now. So
now I do have to ask, and I know you have more to tell us about who you are. I remember when she was pregnant with the grandbaby, we were actually on an airplane flying up to the Asia Collective, and we were trying to decide what you would be called. Like, are you going to be a noni or a granny or a grandma? I think at one point Abuela was tossed out there.
I thought Abuela would just throw people off.
That was my vote. I want you to know that I was absolutely voting for Abuela. But I have to know, what did you finally decide to be called?
Mimi.
Mimi. Oh, I like Mimi. Cool. So you're a Mimi. Okay, a Mimi and a mommy.
I'm a Mimi.
Aside from homeschooling all of your kids, what else? What else do you do?
Graphic design, hand lettering, watercolor. My husband and I just launched a ministry called Seeking the Symphony, so life and family ministry, and we're working on that. So, I mean, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. Super exciting. And so you just mentioned it a little bit, but what do you do for the table?
Graphic design.
Mm-hmm.
Graphic design.
And you do awesome at it. You have designed my business cards. You've designed logos for my website. You now doing all the graphic design for the table. So super excited to have your artistic bent and your eye for things, because you've seen the stuff that I come up with. If I am left to my own devices, it will not be pretty to look at all.
It's not that bad.
Oh my goodness. So you are super, super gracious. You deal with all of my, I don't know what I want, but I'll know it when I see it. That's usually how our conversations go is, hey, I need a graphic. What do you want? I don't know what I want, but I'll know it when I see it. And then you send me 5 things and I say, no, I don't like any of those. And then we keep going back and forth. And so I think very few people have the grace and patience to put up with me and my idiosyncrasies. And so I think I am personally just the most grateful for your presence on the team, because not only do you bring a gift and an artistic talent, but you also bring a really, really lovely heart that's necessary, especially for someone who does not understand graphic design like myself. So I'm grateful for you. Tell me a little bit, you kind of alluded to this with some of the different things that you're doing, but what does leadership really look like for you in this season?
Well, first and foremost, obviously it involves leading my children.
Mm-hmm.
But I used to put that on the back end. Well, I have this position and this position and this position. And then, but I'm also a homeschooling mom of 7. And the more God works on me, the more I realize that it has to be the other way around.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, I have to have a posture of leadership towards my kids. And I love that Melanie said that. It's posture, not position. Beyond that, of course, there's the Seeking the Symphony I write. And we're looking at doing a podcast eventually. And just a whole bunch of other different events and things. So there's that. And then my husband and I are also the prayer leaders for the Williamsburg Weekend to Remember, which is a marriage conference that we really love. So that's kind of leadership in this season for us.
That's awesome. And so with all of that, what does the table mean to you?
I'm so excited. It's so amazing. So when I was thinking about this, I remembered, and it was before the table was born, but we were actually sitting around your beautiful farmhouse table that I somewhat covet. I know I shouldn't, but I do. But we had gathered, the women's ministry team last year, and we were all sitting around that table. And then I was thinking about the fact that there were young women, older women, all different, colors and ethnicities. And, And of course, the table is far more than women. You know, it's women
Mhm.
and men and all, you know. But in my head, that's what I saw. I saw just this variety of people, and each one of those people was a leader who then they go out and lead in their own spheres, and they raise up leaders. And I just see it leaving like this wake. You know, it's it's exponential, the difference that it makes when we can raise up leaders to raise up leaders.
Yeah.
And so I'm just super excited.
Awesome. That's such a good word, such a good word. And that's exactly what we're all about. So thank you for that. We do have 2 team members who couldn't be with us tonight. Speaking of, you said the table is not just women. It's not. And our team is actually not just women. We have David and Chris Hopkins are both audio engineers. And so they do all of the behind the scenes audio and video production for the podcast for us. But they actually, they both just recently graduated from SAE University in Cape Town, South Africa, and now they are in Amsterdam, where they have their own audio engineering production company called Nomadic Productions. And so one of the reasons that they couldn't join us tonight to introduce themselves is because I think it's like 1 a.m. in Amsterdam. I don't really know. The time difference always gets me, but it's very, very late in the night or early in the morning, however you want to put it. So I told them, you know, don't worry about it. Like, I'm not going to expect you to get up at 1 a.m. to join us and introduce yourself. So we really do have this global team, which is just super exciting to me. And so David and Chris Hopkins, you'll find them on the website and on our Instagram page where we've got the team listed. You can always connect with them and their company too if you have any audio engineering needs. But we're really excited to have them and to have their gifts on the team as well. And so we just want to thank everyone for their time today. Thank you, team, for being here. Everyone that's listening and watching, we just want to thank you for taking some time to meet us and get to know us and hear a little bit more about what we're all about. I really want to encourage everyone to subscribe to the podcast. The first official episode will launch on January 1st, and you will have new episodes coming at you every Wednesday after that. The whole premise behind the podcast, there's going to be a different guest every single time, and they're going to be asked one overarching question, and it's, what do you bring to the table? And so we're going to have guests from all different contexts, leadership contexts, all different walks of life, coming to tell us about what they bring to the table. And so for some of them, it might be a particular experience or expertise. For some of them, it might be a specific tool that they are masters of or that they have developed, but everybody has something to contribute to the table. And that's what this podcast is going to be about, just giving each of these leaders an opportunity to share what it is they bring to the table so that we can all learn and grow from it and begin to apply it to our own lives and leadership. So we're really excited about that. Make sure you subscribe, download the podcast now, wherever you get your podcast. That way you'll know as soon as that first episode drops on January 1st. You can go again to our website at thetableleadership.com to look at all the other stuff that we've got going on, coaching and courses. Subscribe to our weekly community. Like I said, find us on social media at The Table Leadership. But again, we just want to thank you for being here, and we cannot wait to see you again on January 1st when the first episode drops. Thank you so much for pulling us to the seat, and we will see you next time at the table.